What if I told you the richest oil country on earth didn't fall because it ran out of money, but because its oil became too powerful? No invasion, no declaration of war, no bombs falling from American jets. Yet Venezuela collapsed. This is not a story of failure alone. This is a story of oil versus power, sovereignty versus influence, and a silent war between Venezuela and the United States, a war fought with sanctions, currency, and control. It's the mid-20th century, Venezuela, a nation sitting on a sea of oil. So much oil that for decades Venezuela was one of America's closest partners in Latin America. U.S. companies pumped Venezuelan crude. Dollars flowed into Caracas. The elite prospered. But beneath the wealth, something darker grew. Most Venezuelans remained poor. Oil money stayed at the top. And resentment fermented quietly. By the late 1992, the system was cracking. And then a man arrived who promised to burn it down. In 1999, Hugo Chávez came to power. A former soldier, a populist, a man who spoke directly to the poor. He didn't whisper his intentions, he shouted them. He nationalized oil. He expelled foreign influence. He declared Venezuela socialist and openly anti-American. To Washington, Chávez wasn't just a president. He was a warning. Because if Venezuela succeeded, others in Latin America might follow. And that was unacceptable. April 2002. Chávez was removed from office, arrested, declared finished. For 48 hours, then the streets exploded, millions marched. The military split, and Chávez returned to power. The U.S. denied involvement. But Venezuela never forgot. From that moment on, Chávez believed one thing: America would never stop trying to remove him. So he did what threatened Washington most. He turned east. Chávez aligned with Russia, China, Iran, Cuba. Oil was no longer just a commodity. It became a weapon of independence. Venezuela funded social programs. Education expanded. Healthcare reached the poor. But there was a cost. Oil revenue paid for everything. No diversification, no backup plan. When oil prices were high, Venezuela thrived. When they fell, the system trembled. And then Chávez died. In 2013, Nicolás Maduro took power. He inherited a fragile economy, falling oil prices, growing international hostility. Mismanagement followed. Corruption spread. Oil production collapsed. The United States responded not with troops, but with sanctions. Banking restrictions, oil export bans, frozen assets. Officially, it was about democracy. In reality, it was about pressure. And pressure broke Venezuela. Inflation exploded. Money became worthless. Supermarket shelves emptied. Doctors had no medicine. Families skipped meals. Millions fled the country. Washington said, "These sanctions target the regime." Caracas replied, "These sanctions are economic warfare." The truth? The government survived. The people paid the price. 2019, an opposition figure stepped forward. Juan Guaidó declared himself interim president. The United States recognized him immediately. So did Europe. Russia and China backed Maduro. Suddenly, Venezuela had two presidents, but only one had the army. And in geopolitics, the army decides reality. Maduro stayed. This crisis was never just about Venezuela. It was about oil security, influence in Latin America, blocking Russia and China, preventing socialist success. Venezuela became an example, not of rebellion rewarded, but rebellion punished. A message to others: challenge the system and pay the cost. Today, Venezuela still stands. Bruised, isolated, but not broken. Some sanctions ease. Negotiations begin. Oil quietly returns to global markets. Maduro remains in power. The opposition remains divided. The people remain exhausted. No victory, no resolution, just a frozen conflict. Venezuela didn't fail because it lacked oil. It failed because oil became political ammunition. America didn't invade Venezuela, it strangled it economically. Venezuela didn't defeat America, it survived it. And the real victims? Not governments, not presidents, but ordinary people trapped between power and pride.